Israel is at full-scale war with the Iranian-backed terror organization of Hamas. Currently, rockets are still raining down on Israeli cities from the Gaza Strip all the way to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. The IDF has mobilized 300,000 reservists to fight this evil regime and also to rescue the tens, maybe even over 100 hostages being held by Hamas inside the Gaza Strip. I'm going to get into the events that led up to this terrible situation currently happening in the land of Israel right now, including how I was almost shot by a Palestinian terrorist driving through the town of Huwarrah just last Thursday. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, because that is what we are trying to bring you here at the Israel Guys, your direct connection to what is actually happening. Unfortunately, with the horrific situation in Israel right now, with the war and everything, there are still fake news headlines. Despite the support that Israel is seeing from nations around the world, there are still headlines by news organizations, particularly the ones I saw today, were the BBC and Al Jazeera, of completely false headlines, completely false information, saying that Israel is the one that has been, oppressing Gaza, and they force Hamas to commit this brutality against Israel's citizens. Obviously, that's 100% false. But guys, there is fake news out there, so be careful where you watch your news. I might be biased, but you should definitely watch the Israel Guys, because that's what we're trying to do seriously here at the Israel Guys, is to actually give you a more accurate perspective, because we're here in Israel, and we're also Christian Zionists. We're Americans, and we feel that America should support the nation of Israel. And we're trying to, out of a place of love and deep belief, support Israel and actually show you an accurate picture of what is happening. Guys, make sure to subscribe to our channel here, because we are going to be putting out videos every single day about what is happening here in Israel as things continue here, as this war progresses. We're basically in a full-scale war. The nation of Israel is in a full-scale war, not with another country, not with a people group. They're in a full-scale war against the terror organization of Hamas, which is actually backed by Iran. And as we've seen in this latest, you could call it a butcher of Israeli citizens, they are using a lot of weapons that they probably most likely were funded and completely given to by Iran itself. So subscribe here, because we're going to be continuing to update you. Also subscribe to our social media channels. The links are all down in the description below to follow us there and what is actually happening as well. If you want to be a little bit more connected, we have a breaking news WhatsApp group. Click the link in the description below. You'll find that there. You can join that. We're sending out text updates as well as video updates about what is happening here and what's going on. Guys, this is a way that you can, before we get into more information about what's happening today in Israel, this is a way that you, as a Christian supporter of Israel, can help the nation of Israel right now. First off, the biggest way you can help Israel is by praying. Your prayers are the most essential thing that the nation of Israel needs right now. The second biggest thing is to help physically, to actually give financially to what is happening here in Israel and helping Israel's fighters, Israel's military, the farms, the community, the security teams around the area to help protect the nation of Israel. And we have started a campaign. Go to serveisrael.com/war, where we will be helping to purchase supplies for the security teams here in the area, the farms that are trying to secure their farms, while the military is fighting with Hamas. Here in Judea and Samaria, there's a lot of farms, there's a lot of towns that, there's a lot of Palestinian villages. And so far, everything has been quiet, but there could be, things that could happen and flare up at any moment. And we are trying to help equip these security teams in the area and these farms with things that they need, equipment that they need, flashlights, surveillance drones, spotlights, night vision goggles, night vision binoculars to help protect the nation of Israel. Guys, this is where you can crucially help the nation of Israel right now. Israel needs help on so many different levels, but this is a very good way that you could do it from wherever you are in the world. You can give to this campaign to help Israel's people. I can't really stress this enough. All right, guys. As you know, Israel is full-scale war with Hamas, which has been Iranian-backed for a long time, but more recently, it seems that funds and weapons have been coming from Iran and possibly fueled this latest attack against Israel. And unfortunately, this is needed to happen for a long time. Israel to declare full-scale war on the terror organization of Hamas, because Hamas has been a pain in the neck of Israel for a very, very long time. The sad part is that it took the horrific events of the last few days that had to happen for Israel to actually take this step of attacking full-scale Hamas, and also for the international community to be to wake up enough and realize that to give Israel their support. I wouldn't say they're backing. They're not necessarily backing Israel, but they're saying that they support Israel to actually take care of the situation that has been horrible in Gaza since basically Hamas took over, which was a year after the Israel gave Gaza to the Palestinians in an effort to create peace, in an effort to make peace with the Palestinians. They gave it. Then Hamas took over, and it's been an evil regime that has held the Gaza Strip there, held the Palestinians. It's been bad for the Palestinians. It's been bad for everybody involved. Bad for Israel. They've been shooting rockets, terror attacks, all these sorts of things. So this has needed to happen for a long time, but unfortunately, it took the horrific events in the last few days for this to actually move forward. And what we're seeing today, many Israelis' lives have lost. The death toll has gone up significantly. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first off, guys, I want you to look at this photo right here. This is a family that lived in the town of Nir Oz, which is about a kilometer and a half from the border of Gaza, east of the border of Gaza. Israeli family who were butchered by these Hamas terrorists who infiltrated into Israel, breaking through the Gaza fence, going in a slaughter rampage throughout these towns in southern Israel. This, unfortunately, is just one of the families that was killed. One example of the hundreds of Israelis who were killed in this horrific manner. But if you just look at the life, the joy that was snuffed out by these evil people, by these, you just call them animals. This barbaric act, going in, not just killing civilians, but mutilating civilians and doing horrible things to their bodies. And there was many instances of rape and just murder and taking these people captive back to the Gaza Strip. This is a horrific situation, a horrific attack, and then should not be treated as if this is an equal war between nations that are just at war with each other. No, this is not the case here in Israel. This evil regime attacked Israel, and Israel is now striking back and trying to eradicate this evil. The family, may their names be remembered. The mother's name was Tamar, and her husband Yonatan, which is Jonathan in English. Their two 6-year-old daughters there, Shachar and Arbel, and their 4-year-old son, Omer, were all murdered by these evil Arab terrorists on Saturday. Their friends said that this family was, as you can see in the photo, a joyful, loving, caring family. The mother, Tamar, was actually running to be on the Eshkol Regional Council down south there. And I'm just going to read a few testimonies from their friends talking about who this family was and what their lives actually meant. Sophia Cohen, a friend, says, "My heart bleeds out. Tamar was murdered in kibbutz Nir Oz with her husband Johnny and her 3 children. Their holy memory should be a blessing. I so much hoped that they would be found, and the bitter news hit me. I found out they were dead." Another friend of the family, Gilad Mamon, said, quote, "Dear Tamari, the tears don't stop. I promise not to forget. I won't forget your wedding on the grass in the kibbutz. You had so much joy in your eyes then. I won't forget the modesty, your and Johnny's tenderness and love. I won't forget sweet Johnny with the light in his eyes and endless innocence. I won't forget the movies that we produced for the Bikurim High School with all the talented children. This place was so important to you. Children were so important to you. This region was so important to you. I have no doubt that you would have been elected council head. Leadership runs through your veins. Thank you. Thank you for what you were in the world for me. You're an example of the type of people this country is missing. and my heart breaks for you, for Johnny, and for your 3 sweet children. Sorry that I wasn't there for you in your last minutes to help. I promise I won't forget you." End quote. And guys, let's not forget. Let's not forget, and even as the names are going to be coming out here in the next few days of those who were actually murdered, let us not forget these people who were mercilessly murdered, even as we say about the Holocaust, that we will never forget what happened. Guys, let us never forget this day. Let us never forget these innocent victims who have perished in this horrific attack. And unfortunately, like I said before, this is just one example of the many attacks that happened on Saturday and even Sunday yesterday. After yesterday's program went out, the death toll here in Israel jumped to 700 who have been killed. That's the current toll that they have found, people who have been killed so far. And the numbers jumped so drastically because down south in the nature reserve, there was a music festival going on. And just yesterday afternoon, they found 260 bodies at this music festival where the terrorists had come in and just went on a killing spree, and killed 260 Israeli civilians, most of them young people who were at this festival. It was an all-night festival there, Friday night, and then early Saturday morning, the attack began. For hours and hours and hours of these terrorists running around, slaughtering, butchering these young people, raping women. Horrific situation there. So the death toll is currently 700, and these numbers are so hard to even say. But I want you guys to actually know the real facts on the ground of what is actually happening. 4,000 rockets have been fired. Even just as I sat down to record this show, my phone would not stop dinging from all the rockets. A huge barrage of rockets was shot over into Israel just a little while ago. There have been over 2,500 injured, and they estimate there's over 100 who have been kidnapped by Hamas, held in, and they don't know the exact number of Israeli hostages who are being held in the Gaza Strip by Hamas, but somebody from the government press office, which operates under the Israeli prime minister, said that the number of hostages was over 100. So horrific there. That's a whole nother story of what could happen to them, and we'll pray for the safety of those hostages. Hopefully they will be released safely, but that's a terrible situation in and of itself. The IDF has been operating here in Judea and Samaria, as well as down in the south. Just today, they declared that all the towns that were taken over in the south by these terrorists, that the IDF has regained control of all of those towns. The IDF still said that there are terrorists they believe that are on the loose still, Hamas terrorists down south, but that they've regained control of the areas that the terrorists had taken hostage, basically taken control of down in the south. So that is good news. And also the IDF is striking Gaza very, very hard right now with airstrikes. They're striking Hamas points, Hamas missile factories, Hamas leaders' residence, taking out the leaders. They are striking operation centers, many places across the Gaza Strip. No, do not believe the media when they say that Israel is targeting civilians. They are not targeting civilians. Israel has actually gone out of their way, despite the horrific tragedy in the last 2 days. Israel is still going out of their way and probably putting their soldiers in harm's way to warn Gazan civilians to get out of the area before they go in and strike. But unfortunately, with such a crowded area, some casualties of war will take place, and there have already been reports of Palestinian civilians who have been killed in the strikes from Israel. Not at Israel's fault at all, because they are going out of their way to actually avoid civilian casualties in this campaign. So this is kind of where we're at. Also, the IDF has been operating here in Judea and Samaria the last 2 days. Things have so far have been calm here in Judea and Samaria with the communities here, the Jewish communities. But due to encouragement, social media, all the videos going out of the victories of the Hamas terrorists and killing all these people, who knows? Things could spring up at any moment. There could be a more broad scale uprising here in Judea and Samaria with the Palestinians here gaining encouragement from Hamas members down there. We pray that won't happen, but it's a very real possibility. The IDF is on high alert. The community security teams are on high alert here in Judea and Samaria. The IDF arrested 41 terrorists overnight, last night and this morning. wanted terrorists throughout many different villages throughout Judea and Samaria. And as you can see, they're working on all fronts because there's also the threat from Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel has sent a lot of arms and military equipment up to the northern border as a deterrence. They've been flying airplanes all night, I think, to deter Hezbollah. Hezbollah has shot a few rockets at Israel. Israel's responded very harshly to that as well. So that is another possibility of Hezbollah maybe wanting to join in this war against the Jewish state. And we've known it all along. It's been throughout all of Israel's history. But these terror organizations and the goal of the radical Islamic idea is to wipe Israel off the face of the map. So, why should we be surprised when things like this happen? And people say that, no, they're peaceful. No, Hamas isn't a terrorist organization. They're just a political organization. I'm sorry. Hopefully those people who said things like that are now realizing the other lies and untruths of their statements. So what led up to this situation, or what sparked this whole operation? It seems like there wasn't a particular incident per se that sparked this. Hamas is using the war cry that this attack on Israel is because Israel is, quote unquote, desecrating the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and also storming the Temple Mount. So you might say, oh, Jews went up there and did something crazy and attacked the mosque. No, actually not. Last week was the festival of Sukkot, one of the most joyous festivals in Israel. And 5,781 Jews ascended the Temple Mount during the festival of Sukkot, so maybe that's what they're talking about. But no, they didn't desecrate the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They didn't even get close to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Jews went up and they walked around. They weren't even allowed to pray there. They just walked around their most holiest site in Judaism. There was Jews that were allowed to walk up and around and weren't allowed to touch anything, nothing at all. And yet Hamas says that Jews are desecrating Al-Aqsa. And I guess it's just by their presence being there is such a threat and such an abomination to the Islam that, but they use this war cry that Israel desecrates Al-Aqsa and that they're fighting for Al-Aqsa in many of the attacks throughout the years and decades here in Israel. Another thing that you can't really say sparked necessarily this attack, but that did happen Thursday evening. There was another terror attack in Huwarrah. And this one kind of hits close to home for me because I was actually personally driving through the town of Huwarrah. I was out and about. I was with my mother. My mother was in the car. We were driving through the Palestinian town of Huwarrah, and we came to the middle roundabout there in Huwarrah. And I noticed something was up. Something was a little fishy. There was a Palestinian vehicle in the center median of the road, and Palestinians stepped out. And I was very much on my guard because I knew, to be on a lookout in this town. And thankfully, this person that was there by the side of the road that I thought could have been a threat, turned out not to be a threat. He crossed the road. He didn't have a weapon with him. But 60 seconds later, driving through that junction, there was an emergency vehicle, an IDF truck passed going the other direction with sirens on full blare. Just a few seconds later, another military vehicle, and a few seconds later, an ambulance. I knew something had happened. 60 seconds passed there. Turns out, from the time that I was at that roundabout, that junction, and to when I first saw the IDF Jeep going the other way, about 60 seconds, there was a shooting attack. And we can play the video here. This Palestinian, 19-year-old, I believe, Palestinian, stepped out into the road and opened fire with a handgun on a Jewish family in their car. There was a father, there was a pregnant woman, the wife, and also a child in a carrier seat in the back of the vehicle. Guys, this has to be an absolute miracle because none of them were touched. And as you can see in the video, initially the terrorist gun jams after the first shot, but he gets it cleared, and he continues to follow this family down the street and unloading his entire magazine into the car, the entire clip of his handgun, and yet the family was untouched. You can only attribute it to a miracle. Thank God there was no injury or death in this situation, but it does bring close to home. And thank God we were not in right there as well. I may have not reacted as quick as this Israeli father had done. He jumped the medium and took off away from the terrorists. But thank God nothing more happened. But in Huwarrah, there was some of the local Israelis came down to voice their frustration and their anger at what took place, that people are allowed to come and shoot at their families driving through the town. And the Palestinians also came out. The next day, they held a funeral for the terrorists and also another terrorist who was shot the same night in Huwarrah. They held a funeral there for those two guys, massive, threw rocks at IDF jeeps. The whole town was closed to Jews and Arabs for several hours. So there was kind of a big balagan, as they say here in Israel, a mess in Huwarrah on Thursday evening, Friday. And then Saturday morning, we wake up to the news that Israel is under attack on multiple levels. So that's kind of a little bit of what happened, and also what happened with us. Thank God his protection is great, and we're all okay, and the Israeli family was perfectly fine in this attack as well. We can only thank God for that. Guys, continue to pray for the nation of Israel. Stay tuned to the Israel Guys. Stay tuned to our social media channels. The links are all in the description below. You can follow us there to get updates on what is actually going on. Continue to pray for Israel. And also, I would encourage you to call your representatives. We actually have a link down below. You can find, if you don't know who your representative is, and call them and voice your support for the nation of Israel. Because right now, the United States government is supporting Israel per se. They're saying they support Israel. They've done a lot to try to send aid to help Israel right now, but that, unfortunately, with the Biden administration, could change at any moment. So I would encourage you as a pro-Israel Christian to be proactive here and call your representative and just say, voice your support and say, we stand with Israel and we want our government, we want you, the government of the United States, to do whatever it takes to tell Israel and communicate that Israel has every right to do whatever they think best to take out this evil regime, to take out these evil barbarians who are attacking, I'm talking about Hamas, who are attacking the nation of Israel. We can do that. That's something active. That's something proactive you can do as an Israel supporter. I encourage you to do that. Don't forget to subscribe. Get the conversation going down below in the comments. We love interacting with you guys there and seeing your support for the nation of Israel. Guys, remember to tune out the fake news, tune out those fake headlines, and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day this week talking about what is happening in the land of Israel.